I am Ashley Kemper. I'm a strategist on the BFM team. And like Gary said, I'm here today to talk to you about everything beyond search advertising. I have the dubious honor of being the last speaker today, so I'm going to try and get through this in a very efficient manner. I've got some fun case studies and examples, but we're going to hit the highlights, and then I'd love to talk to any and all of you afterwards to see how some of this could apply to exactly what you're doing online and the goals that you have for the upcoming year. So we're going to start with search because that's really the first option or the first tactic that people think of when they think of online advertising. That search advertising market is still huge, important, and for several good reasons. So we're going to start there, and then we're going to move beyond that into new campaign types that are available today. So, origins of search advertising. Google was launched, almost 20 some years ago, and they were completely focused on their product initially. They didn't have any real monetization. In about the year 2000, they finally got around to launching the AdWords platform, and that's the first time that they started worrying about a profit. But, like this lovely baby photo, it was kind of ugly, egg-headed, a little bit awkward, rough around the edges, as most new products are. But even given that, here's a view of what advertising looked like back in the good old days. We have that one sponsored link off to the right, one at the top. They got 350 advertisers to sign up for this product, kicking things off, seeing what would happen. It was all based on a CPM model, so paying only for impressions, not for clicks or engagements like we do today. And there was some moderate success, enough to prove the concept that this was really the future of advertising. This is the way that things needed to go. So over the past 14, 15 years now, they've been iterating, they've been developing new features, and our ugly little baby has grown up, had several awkward haircuts, weird styling choices, but grew up today to be this slick-looking guy from New Jersey who can dance in leather pants. And AdWords is still going strong today, and we're glad to see that. So that brings us today in search. And search is really taking off. Digital advertising as a whole has been accelerating more than any other advertising method out there. And in the next few years, digital media spending is actually set to overtake even television advertising, which is pretty astounding given that TV ads have, an 80-year jump on digital media. But this shows you how quickly the online space is continuing to grow. And next year alone, we're set to spend about $25 billion in search ads. Just search advertising, not display, not video, search advertising alone. That's massive. So what we see here is that while search advertising is growing, we're seeing desktop search, the dark blue bars at the top, is actually contracting. Fewer advertisers are spending money on desktops, but we're seeing massive growth, especially predicted in the upcoming 2 years, on mobile search advertising. Consumers are really taking those devices, mobile, tablet, along with them everywhere, and they're using those as information gathering tools. That's where they're doing their searches today. We're still seeing huge players in the search space. So these are just some of the top brands in their categories. They're spending significant portions of their overall advertising budgets in search advertising. We've got Amazon.com, who blows the competition out of the water. Last year alone, they had over 6.5 billion impressions online. If you think about that, 6.5 billion impressions. Globally, there are only 3 billion humans who have access to the internet. It's pretty amazing. Throughout this presentation, throughout today, you've heard a lot of people talking about Google. Google this, Google that, Google AdWords. We do love Google, granted, but why is it all about Google? Why has it got to be Google? What about poor Bing, little Yahoo, Ask and AOL? Don't forget about them. As this graph shows, while the competitors have valid products, we do run campaigns across all of these. We optimize for all search engines. Google is the leader in the search marketplace, and they currently own about 70% of all online searches. And that's why they are generally our top priority. That's what we focus on initially, and then we'll diversify. So what are our customers doing when they're not on Google? We love to think about advertising on search engines, and running search ad campaigns is still one of the best things you can do as a business. You have great targeting options, you can get some of those insights into user intent, but our consumers aren't robots, they're humans. They do other things online besides Google products and services that they could potentially buy. They're checking email, they're on social media, they're watching all of the cat videos on YouTube. And that gives us even more opportunities to reach out and grab their attention but that can't always be achieved through search ads. So there are dozens, if not hundreds, of new campaign methods and targeting options out there that enable us to reach our consumers. But for the average business who typically has some form of a limited budget, how do we start to prioritize which campaign types we try and how we move forward? And to do that, we need to go back to Chris's fun and handy conversion funnel. There we go. So to figure out exactly what kinds of campaigns we're going to be exploring outside of the search market, we need to look at our funnel that we've now established, thought through, started executing on, and we need to figure out what's working and what's not. By taking a look and seeing how users are progressing through our funnel, what content they're using, where they're making these decisions, it also enables us to see where they're giving up, getting distracted, getting bored, having their attention pulled somewhere else, and jumping out of our funnel. And that's our opportunity. If we can figure out where they're dropping off, we know where we need campaigns to pull them back into our site. So we're going to kind of walk through the funnel real quickly in 3 phases. With each phase, there's slightly different options that we've presented. As I said, there are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of different campaign types. I've handpicked a few that I like. So we're going to start with the top here. Like Chris said, the top of the funnel is really this massive volume of people wandering around the internet. They've got no idea what they want, what they need. They're just explorers. So our goals at this point in the funnel are to generate some form of awareness. We want them to know who we are. Even if they just recognize our name and know vaguely what we do, that's great. We'd also love them to take a look at our content, start kind of getting our messaging in front of their eyeballs. To do that, we're going to look at display advertising. And display is one of the best places to start for top of the funnel because you can easily reach a mass audience. You can scale up, get that volume coming into your site. But when I say display, a lot of advertisers instantly think banner ads. And banner ads are fine, but as we see here, the bottom blue section is the proportion of budgets being spent on banner ads. And through 2018, the percentage being spent on banner ads is just dropping off a cliff. It's really taking a nosedive, while the percentage of budget being spent on video and rich media is increasing to fill that gap. So advertisers are shifting away from the traditional banner ads and focusing more on these rich media ads that drive engagement, kind of pop out of the web landscape and help to achieve their goals more quickly. So now I have a few examples here. This one is from Samsung. They were launching a new line of their Galaxy Notepad in New Zealand, and in order to do that, they used a series of display ads. They actually went out and found a satirical cartoonist who is based in New Zealand. I don't remember his name because I've never been to New Zealand, but he was pretty well known there, and they partnered with him to create this series of advertisements, and they placed them on the New Zealand Herald. So highly trafficked site, very localized. As users were on the Herald's website, they were scrolling around, reading their morning news, these ads would pop up on the right-hand side, and you would see a live action hand that actually drew a satirical comic talking about the article that you were reading. So you're reading something, you see this banner ad pop up, and suddenly it's commenting on the news that you're reading, which is great. It's got action in it, so it catches your eye, but it's not completely disruptive or irrelevant. It kind of blends into the experience you're already having. Next is IKEA. So IKEA tried to launch a store in Winnipeg up in Canada in 2012. And if you want to talk about top of the funnel, in Winnipeg, only 17% of the market there even knew what IKEA was. They'd never heard of it. It was completely new, let alone wanting to buy their products. So they had a serious uphill battle to play here. But IKEA identified this market. They also said, we have this whole line of textiles that you can use for curtains or other things. Why don't we take a shot at advertising that within Winnipeg? So they identified the top trafficked websites in the Winnipeg market, and when users would go to these sites, they did a homepage takeover banner style ad. And you can see on the left here, it's a little bit fuzzy, but there are all these very 2002 style pop-up ads that started flashing on your screen. They had this text, they had word art going on, it was crazy. Then a second later, these nice, fun, bright, stylish IKEA curtains came and closed over the spammy-looking pop-up ads. So now we've got the product in front of a user, and a second later, one of the curtains opens to have some nice, simple IKEA messaging. There's no call to action. They're not pushing a purchase. It's really just making people aware that they exist, They're new to the area, and you should keep us in mind when you're looking for curtains in the future. And finally, in display ads, JetBlue. They did a really fascinating campaign recently. I think it started actually the tail end of last year. They targeted mobile users and had this fun little pigeon that would pop up on your mobile device. And they actually leveraged voice recognition technology, which had never been done before in this kind of setting. And if you clicked on this banner ad that popped up, they would teach you how to speak like a pigeon. You were actually talking to your app. Very top of the funnel. There was no call to action. It was just fun and engaging. Again, getting their quirky corporate brand out to a new audience. So once we have established that brand recognition, people generally know who we are, kind of what we do, we're now in the middle of the funnel. Now we need to start getting people back to our site, get them to become repeat visitors, and actually start educating them about a product or service that we're offering. So start transitioning into that slightly more salesy approach. And we're going to do that with social media. Social spending has been taking up more and more of advertisers' budgets over the past several years, and as a whole, that market still continues to grow. In Q1 of this year, AOL did a fascinating study. They took a look at 500 million clicks that were taking place online across their networks, and from those 500 million clicks, they tracked 15 million conversions that took place. And they did this to figure out how social media plays into online buying behavior. So they mapped out all these clicks, all these conversions, and where social media kind of flowed in. And what they saw here is that across the board, social media networks fall into the middle of the funnel. These are users who already know about your brand, and now they're starting to think about making a purchase. And that's when they come to social to gather more information. And that's why having a strong social presence is so critical to take people who are aware of you and get them actually into a shopping frame of mind. So we're going to take a look at an example here from Dyson. And this shows you exactly why you can't just take all of your website content, all your sales brochures, throw them up on social media, boost the post to the top of the page, and think that somebody's going to buy something. It's not at all the way things work. This is a video from Dyson. It's a 30-second, I believe, TV spot that they shot. We have nice-looking, solid Mr. Dyson here showing off, one of his new products, the new Air, I forget what it's called, their new fan that they launched. So they put this on YouTube. It got 71,000 interactions, which is pretty decent, 71,000 interactions. But what they then did, if I can start this, is they took the same product, and a group of their engineers spent a few evenings after work setting up dozens of these fans and arranged them into a little obstacle course, and they let a balloon loose and filmed the whole thing. You can see the quality, not super great. It's definitely not TV commercial worthy. It's 2 minutes long, so it's slightly longer than most successful online videos that we see. But when you start watching this, it's really captivating. You want to see if that balloon makes it all the way through all of these Dyson fans, right? Like, you can't stop watching this. It just keeps going and going and going. This is fascinating. Call to action doesn't even really tell us the name of the product. There's no voiceover here. So they're not trying to sell me anything, they're entertaining me. And this drives home one important point in social media and middle of the funnel advertising. While we have customers here who are in a decision-making process, that doesn't mean they only want your product descriptions and your sales specs. Whether they're searching for a new fan or if they're trying to do research about a heavy equipment piece of machinery for a construction site, we're still humans. We want to be entertained, we want to be captivated by a brand, and we really want to buy into the fact that sending a balloon through 100 different Dyson products is possible. All right, so another middle of the funnel marketing tactic, not as exciting as Dyson fans, but very effective, it works almost universally across business types when it's employed correctly, is a standard remarketing ad. And this takes some content that user has seen on your site and serves it up in an ad on another website, trying to re-engage them, get them back. This works particularly well for e-commerce. You can see Puma does it really well, showing me sneakers that I've already looked at on their site. The key to remarketing is not being this guy. This is about the worst case scenario when it comes to remarketing, saying, hey, we've got technology, we can follow you around the internet. That's what we're trying to avoid. Instead, we want to be the guy that says, I have valuable content, you seemed interested, why don't you come back and have another look? So we've got video, we've got remarketing. why don't we do video remarketing as well? This is an awesome example of outside of the box thinking that came from Nissan. They were looking to launch their new line of Pathfinders internationally, and they came up with a series of video content. So again, I'm not going to play all of these, but they started with a standard TV commercial, put it online, advertised it. It was your typical 30-second family in the Pathfinder going on a mountain trip. They were driving along the mountain. You've got mom, dad, you've even got the dog in the back of the car. Exactly what you'd expect to see on TV. And once users were exposed to this video online, Nissan then retargeted them with a series of other videos. And these other videos were really cool. They were kind of recreations or twists on that initial advertisement, but they were shot through a point of view of someone in the car. So we've got a point of view of dad, looking over his shoulder, yelling at the kid to be quiet. We've got even the dog in the back of the car sniffing around for crumbs. And if you saw those videos first, they're fun, but they don't tell you about the product. They're not super overt in their messaging. They wouldn't really make sense. But what Nissan did is they layered different types of targeting and put together an entire brand story that creates a nice, deep brand engagement. So that brings us to the bottom of the funnel. We've got people who are aware of us. They know what we're trying to sell them. They know what our messages are. They know some of our differentiation factors. Now it's time to get them to actually get out the credit card, fill out the form, whatever that conversion is. And the last barrier here is averting any objections. So any lingering questions they have, we need to make sure we're answering those, we're addressing them, and making them feel secure in completing a purchase. So there's new technology out from a group called FreshPlum, and what this does is it's a system that usually works with e-commerce platforms, but could easily be adapted for B2B use. It tacks onto the back of a website, and it evaluates your visitors to the website on an individual basis. So someone comes to your website, and it takes a look at tens of thousands of data points about them. So we're inferring their demographics, we're inferring their purchase history if we have that available. It even looks at the weather in their current location. And based on all of this, it determines how likely they are to purchase right now. And if we determine that they're highly likely to purchase, that makes them a valuable visitor, and we're going to serve up a dynamic ad based on all of these attributes. So it takes people who are at that bottom of the funnel, who are ready to purchase, and gives them just that last push over the edge to get them to complete the transaction. Mobile is also finding its way into the bottom of the funnel simply because consumers are becoming more and more likely to actually purchase on a mobile device. They're more willing to do so. And spending in this area is taking off, especially in rich media and video areas. And one last example here, we have the US Open, who did a pretty fantastic job. They relaunched their app for the US Open this year, which just wrapped up. So this year, the app went beyond just finding schedules, finding a map. What it did is it leveraged beacon technology so that as users were walking around the US Open grounds, they passed by 25 different beacon points in the park that would alert them of autograph signings taking place near them, also vendors who were selling specific US Open gear in their area, and promotions that they could then redeem. So again, it's taking someone who may be ready to purchase, they're at the event, they're excited, and now we're giving them that last push they need to get them in the store and get them shopping. So the goal of all of this is not just to leverage fun new technology. Marketers geek out about different targeting and campaign types because it is really fun when you think about the potential. But if it's not producing business results, it's not worth the time and effort to go into it. So at the end of the day, we need to take a look at your funnel, figure out where those drop-off points are, and the goal is to take a funnel that looks like this and turn it into a funnel that looks more like this. And that's the goal. So thank you all for coming again.